My name is Chindi.
Hi, and I'm Liz.
All right, thank you for joining us, and really appreciate it. Sorry we've not been around for a while. And today we'll be discussing a topic on how to deal with difficult employees or slash co-workers, especially if you're like a supervisor or slash whatever the higher supervisory position you may have. And so Liz has a lot of experience, and I'll be asking Liz a lot of questions. I might chime in from time to time, but mostly to be me asking questions and Liz sort of telling us from her past experience, because she has a lot of supervisory experience for many, many years. So we'll get into that. Let's delve into that, Liz. We'll get into that soon. So Liz, I have a question for you. How do you identify a difficult employee, like somebody who's very difficult to work with? How would you identify that?
Well, I think the first red sign is if you give a directive and you're giving directives and they're constantly challenging your directive, or not to say that employees don't have a right to ask questions, but it's a difference between someone pushing back and asking questions to be informative to make sure they're meeting their objective. So I think the first sign is that if you notice they're pushing back or they're slowly defying, like time and attendance is a perfect example. Are they constantly coming in late and making excuses? So when that happens, the first thing is have a conversation. Like, I've noticed you've been late 4 times this week. Is this something that you're going through that we can offer you assistance? Most employers have what they call employees assistance program. So we would refer our employees to employee assistance programs to get the support that they need, because it's never really your first go-to is to discipline people. You go to that after the fact, but you want to really put your best forth experts, because you hired that person for a reason. You're looking at their gifts, their the talent that they bring to the table, and you really want that talent to flourish in your organization.
I see. Now, just let me ask a small follow-up question. By the way, I'm a culprit of this, but what do you do with employees who are always on their phone and it's a policy not to be using a cell phone? What is the process when you notice that they're using the phone consistently when they're talking to you? How do you tell them to put away the phone? Because you're not talking to a student, right? You're not talking to somebody who's like a high school student or an elementary school student or something like that, or middle school student. You're talking to somebody who's a grown-up person, an adult. So you have to be kind of, how would you, let's say it's me and I'm just like in my phone and I'm texting. So take one of my friends, what do we say? And it's the policy.
So first of all, I think the first thing is I would try to lead by example, which means I would put my own cell phone away. Everybody's attached to it. Then I would talk about the policy and why it's important. And then I would just say, before it becomes a written, first it's an oral warning, then it's a written notice, then you get 3 write-ups, and then you could lose your job depending on your organization. So my question to anyone who has that challenge is losing your job really worth being attached to your phone? There are ways that we can work around using yourself, because everybody's connected. They're waiting for phone calls or whatever the case may be. But sometimes it is what it is, especially if you're working in high security organizations or where your attention, you need, like if you're an air traffic controller, there is no exceptions. You cannot use your cell phone for while you're on the job. So there are certain jobs that would you want your surgeon performing surgery and then taking getting a text in the middle, hold that suture right there. I'll hold that thought right there. I'll be right back. I need to answer this. So it's a time and a place.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
All right. But I think that the cell phone policies, sometimes it is what it is. Just be respectful.
I see.
I just say be respectful. Be respectful in your circumstances.
I see. All right. So Liz, I have a question about what you've done in order to deal with continuously difficult employees. There are people who, when you tell them do one thing, you tell them, like you gave an example of what you can do, you don't just go straight to disciplinary action. But there are people who keep doing the same thing, keep making the same mistakes, which can largely affect them. I'm not talking about mistakes that are genuine, which I know which we all do, but I'm talking about just not caring about the job, or some people coming late all the time, no matter how many times you tell them that they're not supposed to be late. Cell phone policy, maybe it's a security organization or something, or they just advise against it, but they still want, the person is still using the cell phone. What are some of the things you do? What are some of your strategies?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, everything is one of the dependents or factors is always the culture of your company. There are some companies where cell phone usage and being late because they have flex schedules, that's okay as long as you produce whatever your job is. And there are other companies where that's definitely out of the pit. That's a no-no. They're not going to play that. They want to set boundaries. But I think when people are showing you who they are, and Maya Angelou says it best, when people show you who they are, then you have to believe them. So it becomes a time where you have to put pen to paper and stop talking about it. I believe everything is a conversation at first. The first is a conversation. How can I help you? Before this becomes a performance issue. These are the issues, and this is how it impacts your work, your job. How does it impact your work? If you're constantly late in our office, let's say your office opens up at 8:30 in the morning, you have customers at 8:30. You get to work at 9 o'clock. That's a problem because who's seeing your customers? Every once in a while things happen, but every day consistently that becomes an issue. But first is always a conversation. Second is a write-up, your first write-up, which is you're going to talk about a performance improvement plan. And that's where you have to really know the policies of your organization. What does the policy dictate? And as a supervisor, we usually will have another supervisor over us. I would say, whoever your immediate supervisor is, go to that person, explain the challenges, and then you begin documentation. You document all of your interactions. But again, we're not out to get the employees. We're out to help you move to the next level and help you be your best version as long as you're doing your part. I do believe most organizations function because right now the talent pool is so challenging. It's to our best interest to keep talent people, within your organization and help them grow. With most of the, people in the workforce, aging, people are aging out, people are retiring. So this is a time where people can come into these organizations, get promoted, become supervisors, and become the next generation of leaders. So if that is your intentions, then it will serve you well to be a team player, be collaborative, and understand that it really isn't about you. And as a supervisor, don't take any of these behaviors personally, because it really isn't about you. It's about that person. I've learned through personal experience, can never save anybody. You cannot save them. You can't make them do what they don't want to do. So in life, there's consequences to your actions. Depending on how far that person wants to take it, you have to do what you have to do. They have to do what they have to do.
Oh,
So I say the first thing is always offer assist. As a supervisor, you want to make sure people are connected with tools, resources, and the things or items they need to be successful. I would never set anyone up for failures. There are trainings. Find out if you're challenged by your supervisor. Let's say, for example, they always ask for a report every 30 days. Find out at the end of the day, why is that report so important? What is the deadline? So if your supervisor is always like, you're always late for this, think about it. That supervisor reports to someone else. Ultimately, that goes up the chain. So that report that you failed to complete, now your supervisor has to do it, or someone else has to do it because you decided you weren't going to do it for whatever reason. So have a conversation. If you don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, ask the question and get help. The wonderful thing about today's world is we have access to Google, internet. You can Google or YouTube all sorts of things, and just ask for help. Ask for help. Ask for help. That's all I can say is ask for help if you need it, and try to understand why they need what they need.
All right, so we are now basically I like what you said about basically it was about communication. I think communication is key. That's what I'm surmising from it, and also about following policies and procedures. Now, what are some of the things you'd like to add on, or some of the things that you'd like to conclude before we conclude this topic today?
Okay. I would just say, don't take anything personal. Everybody is an adult. They're responsible for their behaviors and what they bring to the table. So if the first conversation does not work, then you move on to step 2, which would be written warning. Then eventually you start documenting and so on and so forth. But you document to record, but you at every point offer that individual help. It's like, what tools, resources, trainings can I offer you to be successful? Because at the end of the day, we want employees to be successful, especially right now where the country is a lot of organizations where we're transitioning for future leaders. So this is a great opportunity for people who want to move ahead in their careers to apply themselves, learn the organizations, learn the policies, learn how they could fit in, get a mentorship at your current employer or with outside your employer, but get a mentor to discuss some strategies of how you can move ahead. And above all, communicate. Like, what are your needs? If you have childcare as a conflict, communicate to your supervisor. Perhaps you could have an alternate work schedule. Maybe there's a win-win in it, but they're never going to know if you're just resentful and have the attitude, or you have the attitude, they're picking on me. No, it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about what are the goals of our organization that we have to meet.
Exactly. That's a great point. And that's a great point to end on. And for those who are employees, I am an employee myself, so don't worry. Next week we'll be discussing about how you deal with difficult bosses or supervisors and what you can do. Some of the strategies we've discussed, you can be used in dealing with your boss and supervisors, such as what Liz talked about, following the policies and procedures, keeping records of things. You can do that with your boss too. We'll probably talk about
Right.
That's entirely possible to keep records of everything that
Right, and meet with your boss on a
Yes.
weekly or bi-weekly basis to discuss challenges, offer solutions.
Yeah.
One of the things on a performance improvement plan, they say, what are some things you would like to see implemented to make the changes so that you can meet your goal? Participate in that. Don't have your boss tell you verbatim everything you need to do to meet your goal.
Yes.
Play a part in your own success. Empower yourself. Say, like, this is what I need to be successful. I would like to work with your colleagues, be a team player.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, you spend 37 and a half, 40 hours a week there. Take a deep breath. Nobody needs to be miserable, stressed out at their job.
I agree. Definitely agree. Absolutely. All right. Thank you everybody. And we will see you next time. Thank you very much. And please do subscribe to our channel. And thank you. Have a good day or night, wherever you are. Thank you.
Take care. Be well.